Hey guys, it's Robin, RsIslandCrafts, and welcome to my craft room. This is my Whip It Wednesday video where I show you whatever I've worked on in the craft room this week, whether I worked on it for just a little bit or if I've worked on it for a long time and it's now actually a finished object. I do have a finished object this week, but I'll show you that in a little bit because it's a little knitting project. I am working on a little lapgan for hubby, so he has something a little bit smaller to add to his pile of blankets when he needs to cover up and be a little bit warmer. He is a New York Giants fan, so I used some New York Giants fabric, and I used some of this, I'm calling it like sky or cloud fabric. It's just kind of like this abstract painted where it has a little bit of a light blue, dark blue, and some white all over it. I really like it. It reminds me of clouds. If you watched my video yesterday, you'll know that I talked about how this fabric is hard to tell the right side from the wrong side sometimes, and they both look pretty similar, and that the back side looks just as good as the front, right? So this piece right here is the back. This is the front. This is the back. This is the front. So I did get them flipped a couple times, but it's not that much of a difference. It's just a little bit lighter on this side than it is on the other side, and the color saturation is not quite the same, but I don't think it's a big noticeable thing. And if I didn't point it out to you, you would just say, "Who?" Because these are already got some light spots and some dark spots, that this must be a light spot. So I didn't worry about taking those apart. I just went ahead and left them. As I said, you really can't tell that much difference. And yeah, I'd already taken this apart several times, and I'm not taking it apart anymore. So basically what this is this is a 9 patch. So I went ahead and I did this is a variation on the disappearing 9 patch. I have a 6-inch wide ruler, 6" by 24, so I cut my original squares. These are all 6 inches. And when I measured it up against this fabric, that these strips right here were just about 6 inches. It was like really, because they're pretty close to touching, so when I cut it, I got basically like that. But I must have gotten a little off, or the fabric might be, it kind of looks like the fabric might be just on a slight diagonal, because the more I cut, the more I ended up getting some of them, like this one here. It's obviously the Giant still, but as you can see, it got a little bit off. So there are a few of them that way, but many of them worked out perfectly fine, and you can see that they're the New York Giants and their helmets and all that. So I made the 9 patch, and I did the one where the 2 corners in the center were all of this main fabric, and then I did the 4 in the cloud painted blue fabric. So what you do is you make your 9 patch like that, and then you just cut it in half down the center, and then you can flip and turn the pieces all around. Now I have directional fabric, so I had to be really careful, and it was more of a swapping than a flipping and turning. But once you cut your 9 patches, you have this piece right here. So now you can take this piece and you can just line them all up and turn them all the way you want. There's all different things on Pinterest. So I thought maybe if you guys were interested, I would just show you the basics this week on how to actually make the 9 patch, and then I'll show you how to cut it. And then after that, it's just kind of a fun playing game to see how you want to turn things in different directions. It all comes down to really where you place your fabric and how things are going to look. If you were to have used your center square, like if I'd had red fabric to go with the red in the helmet, and I'd have put it in my center square, these little squares right here would have been red. So, and they're working on a diagonal going this way. So, yeah, because of the way I cut it and I had to flip it with directional fabric, I have the 2 blocks here, and then I have the 2 blocks here. So if I were actually doing it with non-directional fabric, they would have lined up in a specific direction, and then they would have pointed all like this. But I like the way it turned out, and since I use all the same fabric for the main squares, it doesn't really matter whether they're going this way or they're going this way. It all works out in the end. I'm going to go ahead and back this completely in this Giants fabric, so if hubby just wants to look at the Giants, he can, and if he wants to flip it over and look at this as the front, he can do that too. And either way, he'll have his Giants right in his face, and he'll have something to keep him warm. I'm going to leave this here as the backdrop and show you some other things. Now I did mention that I had a finish. I have finished a 3-color cashmere cowl. This came out, I believe this came out really well. So not only did I finish knitting it, because last time we spoke I think I was just starting the stripes or partly into the stripes, wherever, but those are all completely finished. And I even wove in all the ends. I do leave a little bit of a tail on my ends. I weave them in quite far from here, and I weave them in and then I backtrack, so they stay in really nice and tight. If you want to see how I weave in ends, I'll pop up a little video in there, iCard for you there. So I did get those all woven in, and as it's stretched and washed, this will fluff up a little and it'll lock the end in that way, or at least that's how it works in my mind. So this is all finished and ready to go to its new home, but before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and make a matching hat and matching fingerless mitts to go with it. I think I'm just going to use the dark purple and the light purple for those. I think adding this extra stripe, you know, have this around your neck is one thing. It's going to kind of bunch up and squish, and you could actually, you could get it, when you put it on, you can scrunch it down and fold it so you can only see, you know, the red and white can hide. But to put that into a hat, that might just stick out just a little bit, like Where's Waldo? Because when I was putting it in here, that's what my concern was, that it might be a little too, hey, where's Waldo? And then in the fingerless mitts, it might just carry it too far. I think this is a nice accent stripe to go with the cowl, and then the hats and mitts can kind of just coordinate with it, and this can be the wow piece. This is the one that's really good, that you could wear it scrunched up around your neck in a cowl like a scarf, or you can put your head and pull it all the way up over your head so that your face comes in here, and you can wear it more like a hood, so you have the part to keep your neck warm and you'll have the hood. And I said if you wanted to, you could always scrunch this up and fold it to where you don't actually see, you know, anything like that. And then on days you want to feel all wild and crazy, you can bring out your red and white stripes. But that's finished. This is always fun to work on. It's a long project. It does take a while and a lot of time put into it, but I think the overall effect is spectacular. And depending on the colors you use, I think it'd be really great in a gradient, or just some not bright rainbow, but nice, not pastel, just toned down rainbow, a little bit muted. They have that grain bow, the gray bow. It has more of a gray tone to the rainbow colors, and that just gives you the nice color flow without it being bright and in your face. Now, although I do love bright and in your face. Since I finished that one up, I went ahead and cast it on a new knitting project, and this one's going to be a hat. This is going to be the Bonbon hat. You can see it on my Ravelry page. I have cast it on a couple times. This yarn that I'm using, this is a merino wool cotton blend, so it has all the feel of cotton like you would do for dishcloths and stuff like that. So it has that feel to it, but it has the wool in it that's going to help you block it and keep you warm. So I've never worked with this type of yarn before, and I'm trying to find my needle size that's going to work well for it. This is going to be a folded over brim. It's a very narrow brim. It's not a very high brim. It's very short and not tall. It's only going to be about this tall. But then you fold it over and it's doubled. But it is kind of a, no matter how many needle sizes you go down, I went down one more from the recommended. And there's another person that knit this hat using this yarn. And I'm using the needle size that she recommended. And I think once you double it over, you're not going to see through it like you do here, because it will be a double brim. And then there is some color work going, well, more like slip stitches. I'll be combining this color with pops of this color, and because you have the two of them together, you won't have to worry about any of the little holes or anything like that, because having two yarns will fill in those spaces, and it'll be a nice warm hat. And this is a really pretty hat. I've seen it in a few different colors, and I love the way it turns out with any of them, but the finished project with this one looks really good. And that's, like I said, the Bonbon hat, B-O-N-B-O-N. That was a really fun project to work on. Anyone who watched me last week when I was just talking and chatting, you saw that I started the snowman project. because of finishing the cowl and weaving in the ends and starting the hat. These are really the only projects I've worked on this week, and I haven't actually done any more to this snowman, although he keeps calling my name and I just want to work on him. So I might just take an hour this afternoon before I go back to knitting on the hat, spend a little time working on him. Because the quilt is going to hold off now for today, and I'm going to move it to tomorrow. Then I'm going to do the whole, I got to get it all ironed and cut the backing, get it sandwiched and pin it and everything, so to be ready to quilt on the next day. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of time today. It's about 2:30 in the afternoon, so I still have some more time to work on things for today before the eyes get old and tired and the day gets going. And I think I might work on him for a little bit because he was really fun to work on. I really did enjoy just sitting there and meditatively just doing one stitch at a time, all in the same color. I've always been a fan. I love the work. I just love embroidery, but I love all the colors and the brightness of embroidery. But I'm always drawn to like red work, and red work is great and all, but red's not necessarily my favorite color. But I do like blue work, and you can do it in any one color you want. So they do also have black work, and that's kind of it's kind of really artistic and bold and stunning in the black. But this guy just looks so happy in blue. So I might, like I said, I'll probably pick him up for a little bit and work on him a bit today. Now that's the only thing I've done creatively this week. Now I'm going to show you I cut some 2.5 inch strips for a swap that we're doing with the Talk to Me Tuesdays. If you don't want to see the fabric that I used, I'll go ahead and I'll say goodbye now. I'll see you guys next week. I don't want to ruin any surprises if you're waiting for a surprise, but there's several of us going, so even if you see mine, you're not going to see everybody's, right? So I want to show you the fabrics that I used to cut out for my strips. You're not going to see too much. I just kind of, where's the end? We were making a 40 strip jelly roll, and then what we're doing is we're sending them into Jennifer, and she's going to mix them all up and send them back to us. So I went ahead and I cut all of mine out of, we were supposed to use at least 5 fabrics. I decided to use 10 because making 40 strips would be 4 strips out of 10 fabrics. It was just easier to figure out. Plus 10, I kind of like just round numbers like that. So I went ahead and cut mine. I cut the ones to send off the swap, and then I went ahead and cut 1 strip of all of these fabrics again to keep for myself, so that I'd have my own fabrics to add into everyone else's. It'll beef up the jelly roll just a little bit more. But what I was thinking is I sent in a kind of sort of a variety of colors, but I also sent in some black and some white, or I will be sending in some. So I thought those might be, in case anyone's looking for a contrast fabric to go against everything we're doing here, that I go ahead and send in some black and white and just kind of fill that in a bit. It's not a solid white. It has a bit of a texture and a design to it. The black itself is solid. So there's my jelly roll. I tried to roll this into a jelly roll. Ooh, that was not an easy process. Anyone who's opened up a jelly roll and tried to roll it back up again knows how hard it is to do that. So that's it for me this week. That's all I've been working on. It has been a bit of a slow week. I'm hoping now that we're past the new year and everything's, I'll find my rhythm again, and with my new routine and my new schedule, and I'll find my, ebbs and flows. I'll find my rhythm. So what have you guys been working on though? Go ahead and let me know down below in the comments what everyone else has been working on. Did you start any new projects this year? A lot of the knitters tend to do a new project on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. I've shown you all my projects, so I have nothing new except for that hat. I tend to just start things whenever I feel like it or whenever I finish something else, so I don't always follow the New Year's cast on and the Christmas Eve cast on. So that's it for me, guys. Thanks you guys for hanging out with me this week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.